So I thought I would just talk for a bit. We are in week 5 of 12 of the training schedule to get ready for the Houston Half Marathon, followed by the Mesa Half Marathon. And the idea is to get under 72 minutes in that, and then use that as a springboard to get under 2:30 in the full marathon later in the year. And I have to say, I've been quite enjoying the half marathon training. I like the speed element of it. I like the fact that you're not crushing yourself on these long runs, and the body feels like it tolerates it a lot better than it does marathon training. The weather outside has also improved just recently, and so rather than having the horrible, icy conditions that we've had, we're actually starting to get some grip outside, and so that's really helpful. But as I was entering week 5 of this training block, I did feel like I was settling a bit. I wasn't giving it everything, and so as you'll see from the sessions that I'll put up on the screen now, this week I decided that the weekend I was going to really crush myself, and so I did 10 by a kilometre on Saturday with only 60 seconds recovery. So I kept the speeds around 3:15 to 3:20 and minimal recovery, and I feel like that's a session that I really need to do more of. I think I've got the speed, I think I've got the ability to run sort of 3:05 pace with plenty of recovery, but now I need to start running 3:15-ish pace with minimal recovery. And so that was a tough session for me, but one that I really feel like I nailed. And then I deliberately followed it up with another crushing session the next day. So the next session was another treadmill session, unfortunately, because it was still freezing and icy outside. But I did a progression run, and I was trying to do a 21k progression run, but you'll see from the video in a minute that I bailed at 20k, which I think is the sign of a well-judged session. I nearly got there. I just couldn't quite finish it off. So before we look at the rest of the training that I've done this week, let's take a look at those 2 sessions first. Hey, happy December. It is December the 1st, and I'm doing back-to-back treadmill sessions, and I've been inspired by all those people who have done the Valencia Marathon today. I've seen it all in my Strava feed. Someone did a 2:38, which is amazing. A couple of other people got in under 3 hours, a 2:58 and 2:59 I saw, so that is super good running. Well done, guys. And I've been inspired to try something a little bit testy. So yesterday I did 10 by a kilometre with minimal rest. So I've got tired legs today, which is good. And I thought I would do a bit of a time trial over the half marathon distance. So this is part time trial, part progression run. couldn't quite kill that one. I didn't quite finish it off. I got to 20k rather than 21.1 and I was just done. So that shows that that was a good session. I did 20k in 74.18. It'd been nice to finish that off, but it gives me something to work off. I got close to the half marathon pace I wanted at the end there. I was doing 3:28 a kilometre, which, you know, is good enough. But I'm going to have to do that sort of pace for 21k when I get there. So that was a crushing session and the weekend really took it out of me, which is what I wanted. I wanted the weekend to be a really difficult session, and it was. And based on that, my training readiness on my watch, which I do pay attention to, went down to 12, which is really low for me. So I did make sure that I took it relatively easy. So on Monday, I did a 20-minute run in the morning and then a 60-minute run in the evening. And similar on Tuesday, I did a short run in the morning and then a slightly longer run in the evening just to keep things going over and ticking over nicely. Then we got to Wednesday and I wanted to do a steady state run. Now steady state runs mean different things for different people, but for me I find that 6-minute miling is, which is 3:43 a kilometre, is the pace that if I can get a decent effort in at that speed, then I'm really going to make leaps and bounds of improvements on my fitness. And I know that's not the same for everyone, but I think I've got the speed down, and I think if I focus a little bit on this sort of sub-marathon pace, like this is like a bridging gap, this is the steady state run, so you can't always run at half marathon pace, you can't always run at marathon pace, and you can't always run at slow paces. But I find that the 6-minute miling pace, if I build it up slowly, then I can actually get a decent effort out. So a few weeks ago I did 5 miles, which is 30 minutes at 6-minute miling, so 3:43 a kilometre. And this week on Wednesday I did 6 miles. Thursday I did a nice long slow run, just 11 miles, which is about 19k. Just kept it nice and relaxed, nice and easy, just to recover, because I knew that Friday was going to bring some serious efforts. So the plan for Friday was to do a 5k full out on the treadmill, really a time trial. And I wanted to do this for 2 reasons. Number one, I miss, like when I lived in the UK, you could race every weekend and you could have races which weren't your A race, but which were still decent solid efforts where you pushed yourself to the limit of your capabilities on that day without crushing yourself. And you don't get that in Canada. There are no races this time of year. And so I really wanted to simulate a race type effort over a shorter distance to really sort of get myself out of my comfort zone. And that was part of the reason I wanted to do the progression run on Sunday, which ended up being a 20k progression run, because I really wanted to get myself into a sort of semi-race type simulation. And I think that worked, and I do think I need to work more on that. I think I need to work more on getting myself in situations where I'm hurting and where I'm really at the effort that I want to be giving in a race, which I'm going to have to simulate during training because I can't do that in races here. So let's have a look at the 5k, which I did on Friday. I'm going to try and see how fast I can do over the 5k distance on the treadmill, and we're going full out. This is full race send to see what we can hit. Time for a warm up. I always find that the shorter the distance you're running, the more you have to warm up. So we're doing a proper warm up today. Okay, 16:54. That was good. That was hard. But I do think I need more of that. Like, really running at serious effort. I'm happy with that. 16:54 on the treadmill. 0% admittedly, but I am at elevation, so let's pretend they cancel each other out. But overall, I'll take that. I wanted sub 17, and I got it. So I think the key takeaway from this week has to be that it is time to start upping the seriousness. We're about 5 weeks in, so we're coming up to halfway, and it would be very easy to let the training just sort of rest where it is. I think we're at the point now where we need to push it on, we need to bump it up, and part of that is going to be additional steady state runs where I start increasing those times up to an hour, and also progression runs where I'm really hitting the pain cave at the end. I always feel like a marathon you shouldn't hurt. I feel like you run your best marathons when you don't feel in discomfort in any stage of the process. But in a half marathon, I think you've got to dig there, and that's what I want to work on in training, is being able to dig when it's going to start hurting in the half marathon. Now again, I don't want to crush myself for the sake of crushing myself. I want to work at bridging the gap, and so that's where I think these steady state runs are going to come in handy. They're going to bridge the gap between my slow runs and my fast runs, so hopefully it will make my slow runs feel that much more relaxed, and it will make the faster runs feel not quite as out of reach as they might otherwise feel. But overall, I'm happy with where the speed is. I could do with a few more miles, and I'm going to start pushing those, but I think those miles have to be at pace, particularly towards the end of the runs. So that is what I'll be working on in the next couple of weeks.